Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all, depending on where you are in the world. I still have the privilege of welcoming you to our True Africa University and MIT webinar series on sustainable development in Africa. It is a real pleasure to be with you again. We have been kind of leading this series on sustainable development for more than a year now. We started in 2021. And we are continuing around various topics related to the future of Africa and the sustainable future of Africa. And today we are in the middle of a conversation that is extremely important to the future of Africa. And it's related to girls' education, a girl's right to education. The UNESCO figures from 2019 showed that over 52 million girls are not in school in Africa at all. These are school-age girls who should be in school, and 4 million of those 52 million will never step into a classroom. And this is about half of boys. That's only 2 million boys who are not expected to step into a classroom in Africa. And that's really crazy because in my mother's generation, she was telling me that she didn't go to school because she was never expected to go to school, because school was the domain of boys, and that was the privilege of boys, and that was what the expectation was. In Togo, back in those days, in the 1970s, it was really crazy to notice that we've made progress, but not enough progress. And one of the people who are in real positions to be pioneers in changing this mindset where girls not in school is our special guest from today, Noella Coursaris Musunka, who is a longtime friend. I met Noella when Malaika schools was just a twinkle in her eye. And in 2007, she launched the Malaika schools, and they're celebrating their 15-year anniversary this year. And they have been educating so many girls in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where Noella is from. So it is a real privilege for me to welcome her today as our speaker in this webinar series. And before Noella presents her slides, we have a video that gives you a bit of context on what Malaika has been able to achieve in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So let's watch this video.
Malaika is a non-profit organization empowering girls and the community in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Welcome to this amazing project that we set up in 2007. Next year is the 15 years. Our school is a leadership school. We have from coding, robotic, music, theater, French, mathematics. We offer 2 meals a day. The nutrition program is very important, and we're feeding 450 people a day. We have an agricultural farm where we grow our own food, and the food go back to the canteen of the school, and we teach the community about organic farming. We built and refurbish many wells, impacting more than 35,000 individuals. We have a community center, we have water sanitation and agriculture. Please visit malaika.org.
Wonderful, Noella. So I know that you want to tell us more about your journey with Malaika, but more importantly, you like to focus on the girls' journey and how some of these girls become teenagers and women and what some of their ambitions are. So let's get into the slides to give everyone a bit more background on Malaika.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you so much for inviting me, and especially Claude and MIT. And today I'm going to show you some slides to really show you the work that we've been doing, the work that has been transforming an entire community and girls through 15 years of work. My name is Noella, and I'm the proud founder of Malaika. I'm also an ambassador for the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. I'm sitting as an advisor at Concordia and at L'Oreal Funds. But above all, I'm a mother, and I believe that access to education, health, and opportunity is a human right. So now I set up Malaika, in 2007. We wanted to work in a village where there was no water, no electricity, where we can see a mission that we think will have an impact. When we started to build the classrooms, even before starting the school and the classes and the toilet facilities, the offices, there was no water in the village. So we had no choice to make to build a well. And when we built a well, hundreds of people were coming every day to get water from our resource of water. Is the reason over the years we built more water to make sure that even girls and community coming to study to our program don't have to work for many hours. So here you're seeing our girls. Malaika started with the school for girls, but beyond the years, we really impact the community because we really noticed, and myself being a mother, you cannot educate the girls if you don't educate the siblings and the community. It has to be a ripple effect. And mothers and fathers will understand the importance of keeping the kids at school, because what is very hard is how to keep the student keep studying, because at 11, 12, 13, 14, they get pregnant, they get married at a young age. So the only way that you will break this cycle is to educate the parents. So next slide, please. Our mission is really to empower girls and the community through education and health programs. Next slide. We're working in the southeast of the Congo. The village where we started in Kalibuka was really an entire bush. And I sit down with the chief of the village and I say, I really want to build a school for girls because I see so many girls not attending school. All the schools in Congo, you have to pay to attend. So a family, when they have money, the first thing they do, they send their boys to school. And we know that more than 50 million, like Claude was saying, don't attend in sub-Saharan schools. So it was very, very important to empower and give the tools to girls. But not only building a school, I wanted to build with my team a school that's really create the next leaders, the next change makers that will change the world, that will be equipped to be ready for the 21st skills, and not only a basic school where we will teach just to read and write. We really not only updating the curriculum of the schools, we really influencing other schools in the Congo, because in the last summer we did training teachers at a school with the support of the Minister of Education, and we constantly updating and upgrading our teachers and our management team. Next slide. Here you're seeing our girls in the pandemic. They were working with few 3D printers. They put them together, and they did more than 3,000 mask shields, and we distributed them in more than 60 hospitals. Even my school, the school of my children, they were not able to do all the work that our students were coming. Next slide. Malaika over the years became really an ecosystem, and this year we're launching a Malaika model Blue Kit to really inspire governments, individuals, corporate, NGOs, how they can duplicate the Malaika ecosystem. Not only the school, but the community center where we're impacting 5,000 people a year, the agriculture where we grow our own food and you go back to the canteen of the school. We built more than 25 wells impacting 35,000 people. And this last month, we launched technical classes with Caterpillar Foundation to really give skills of mechanic and electricity to 80 cohort students, youth between 17 and 35 years old, and 40% of women enroll. And the president actually of Caterpillar came to visit Malaika a few years ago. Denise Johnson, she studied at MIT. Next slide. We received a few awards over the years because I do believe that being a grassroots education, it has to really come from the grassroots, whatever we're offering, working for the community, working with the community, and working with the local team. So one of our most significant awards was the 2021 World Literacy Award. And the 2019 Maya Aweja Sustainability Award allow us to create this model duplicate of Malaika that can be duplicated in any context in the world. And here you're seeing the mothers that come to our center. They come to read, to do numerous, they learn to do sewing classes, digital classes, they play sport, and all the accessories that you're seeing being made by them. We call this brand called Mamaya Mapendo, and the money we're raising go back to our programs. Next slide. So all our students start at 5 years old and they grow until 18 years old. Next year will be our first cohort of girls being graduated of Malaika. So we're creating a student fund. We're raising money for student fund that our girls, when they will finish at Malaika, they will be able to go either technical classes or hostelry schools or university, and how we can keep helping them growing beyond their school and their study. It's very important they arrive at 5 years old because we really nurture them. They arrive very shy, lack of confidence, malnutrition. Reason we emphasize on the nutrition program where they have breakfast and where they have lunch every day, and we emphasize on the health checkup at their home. Maybe they eat twice a week. And for 5 years in a row, in Congo, the 6 primary have to pass a national test. And for 5 years in a row, our girls, our students, pass the national test. So the Minister of Education came to see what was the success of Malaika. And the success of Malaika is because it's a holistic program from coding, from robotics, from learning English, from learning to think out of the box, to sport activity, music, art. Next slide, we're offering them the uniform, the underwear, the shoes. We teach them about environment. We teach them about planting trees. All our campus, the school and the community center, they all are solar panel energy that provide all the energy, because there's no water and no electricity in the village. And when the pandemic hit us, we have to completely reinvent ourselves because our students don't have tablet at the home, they don't have electricity. So every 2 days in the village, we have a team of volunteers teachers. We're giving them the homework and going back a few days later to have back homework and give them back new homework because nobody could come to our school or our campus. Next slide. This is the school meal program. It's very important. If you see Marceline when she arrived, she was completely malnourished, and we really boost all the programs of the school, and we really check the health. We lost one of our students 10 years ago called Miriam. She was 6 years old, same age as my son, and it was a big wake up. It's the reason we invest in the health of the student, but we make sure that our student, we distributed over 14,000 malaria net in different places, in different villages, because the mortality rate on the 5 years old is very high of malaria, and Miriam died of malaria. And Marceline is one of our top students. She wants to be a biochemist. She doesn't understand why the minerals come from Congo to provide the coltan and the cobalt for green energy, all of that, because we are one of the most provider resource from Congo in terms of minerals. But how come the minerals has been exported, and on why we don't make funds in the Congo, and etc. So we have a lot of very important discussion with our students and how they think and what they want to do. So she wants to be a biochemist, but she wants to work too in mining, but really change the way mining is done. And you know what? They know better the country. They know exactly what doesn't work and what does work. Next slide. The school meal program bring the attendance of 95% of our students, because they know they have the breakfast and they know they have the lunch every day at the school. And we do a lot of emphasis on training our cook about the nutrition components. Next slide. And this is all a STEM program. They learn from VPL, blogs, strategy, videos, application on iPad, 3D printer. At 6-7 years old, they're learning and they're growing with technology. We try to bring in the classroom, and probably we are one of the 10 top schools in the Congo that providing such a big program on STEM and IT, and some of them learn Python and do website. We're working with different tech teachers all over the world that do remote training, teaching, and some of them came to Malaika and really train not only the teachers, but train the student, and then the student is becoming a peer program. Next slide. Is really building the 21st century skill, making them ready for jobs that will exist. We know that we cannot only teach our kids for jobs that doesn't exist anymore. And here we have Emrance. She wants to be an IT engineer. She arrived at 5 years old at her school, and she's growing such into a beautiful, beautiful girl. Next slide. And this is all the health program that we have at the school for our 400 students. And we call it on memory of Miriam. Next slide. And this is the community center. FIFA, when they did the World Cup 2010, they decided to build a 20 community center in Africa, and they were already a donor of Malaika School, and they asked us if we will want to build a community center with them. We built one building and the sport pitch, but the demand was so high that we keep growing with individual donors. And we have more than 5,000 people coming to study at the community center, from literacy, digital classes, numeracy, entrepreneurship. We have a program, Sport for Good for Development, to talk about empowerment, equality, peace, about resolution conflict, because for many years we have a huge war conflict in the east side of the Congo. So it was very important. That is a place where they come together, where they come to give the ideas, the insight, and how we can be really working together. And it's a place where there's a lot of fun. They kick the ball. Mothers never kick a ball. They never play sport. And we see them every Friday afternoon. They have football matches. And it's really a special place in Kalibuka. And it's really a complement of the school. Next slide. And this is all the students that come for all their skills. And at the beginning, it was very hard to have young women coming to a center, because they help a lot their families, or they get pregnant very young. So we had to emphasize a lot on the family planning, sexual reproduction, and have them to do embroidery, sewing, and really bit by bit grow with them. And some of them find jobs like cashier in town, or working in shops, or working even in offices. It's beautiful to see them, to find them jobs, and they can go to use the skills that they learn at our center. Next slide. And a lot of people ask us, do you do boys? Yes, we do a lot of boys, because we teach a lot of boys, because they come at our center, and we saw that a lot of boys has leadership, and they come to help all the time. So we sponsor nearly more than 25 boys. We pay a formal education, and some of them are now in university. And we grow with them and try to have a career path for them. And they love sport, of course. Next slide. And this is all the boys that we've been helping. Jonathan was coming always at our center, and I was intrigued by him. And I said, where do you live, Jonathan? Because I spend 6-7 weeks every summer. And we went to see where he was living. It was such a poor area. And we decided to build a solar panel well over there, and we pay his studies, and he want to become a doctor, and we pay his school. We have Russell was coming all the time at our center too, and we asked him what he wanted to do, and he wanted just to go to school, but his family didn't have money for school. So we send him, and most of the pictures that you see in this presentation has been done by Russell. And we have Strong now is at the university, and we're paying since 8-9 years all his school. Next slide. And this is the project that we launched last month with Caterpillar Foundation. It's a vocational program for area women and men aged to 18 to 35. And it's just amazing to be able to give them mechanic skill and electricity, where the diploma will be recognized. And we're working now on a database to put a lot of companies together and find internship for them where they will finish the course. And it was amazing, the opening of the technical classes at Malaika. Next slide. And this is the Wells program. Wherever you work in villages, you see there's a huge deficit of water. People getting sick, they don't have access to water, they work hours and hours. So we decided to build manual wells and solar panel wells. And when I was there a few months ago, we inaugurated a few more wells. And by end of the year, we will reach 30 wells that really impact thousands of lives every year. Next slide. And the agricultural field is very important because we teach about organic farming, and the food that we're growing go back to the canteen of the school. To tell you a little bit about myself, I was born in the Congo. I lost my dad when I was 5 years old. I was the only child. My mother didn't have any resources to keep me. She gave me away. I didn't see my mom for 13 years. I spoke maybe a few times with her on the phone, and I went to see her back after 13 years. I was 18. And it was a big shock, not only the way she was living in such poor condition, but seeing, I mean, the potential, the beauty of the country, but not being invested in local institution, high level education. And for me, it was a must that when I be able to earn my own money, to not only to help my mother, but to set up a foundation. And I don't take any salary of Malaika. I lead all the fundraising activities. I lead all the activities of Malaika with an amazing team. For more than 10 years, Malaika was led only by volunteers. Of course, we were paying the local team. And since a few years, we took two part-time people and a fundraising team, because it costs nearly $550,000 a year to run all the programs of Malaika. But when you see how many lives we're impacting, I think we're doing a lot for the money that we're raising, because we have an amazing team on the ground, and we just understanding what are the needs. We don't want to create more programs. We want to strengthen everything that we have in a way that will create the next leaders. Next slide. I think this is all the COVID-19 response. The food price were going very high. So we make sure that we have every Tuesday and Friday some point of food distribution. We distributed food for more than 10,000 people. We sew some masks, more than 5,000. We distributed to the community. We did a face shield production. We created a lot of hygiene resources in a lot of parts of different villages. We pushed the government to make the road to the village. So 70% of the road are being made in the village, and it really developed the social economical development of the village. And parents and mothers and fathers are able now to go in town and selling their goods. Taxis are able to arrive nearly in the village, and we're seeing a big change. Next slide. I'll be able over the years to speak at some conference. I came to speak once at MIT, and I think it's very important to give a new narrative of Africa, a new narrative of women, of girls being educated, that they will have a place in the society, they will have a seat, but they will give back and transform their own community and own country and own continent. Next slide. And that's it. Thank you very much. It's very difficult only in a few slides to explain what is Malaika over 15 years. And what is very important for me this year is about during the UN week, we will launch the Malaika Model Toolkit to really push government, individuals, how to duplicate some components of Malaika, either the school, the community center, the water sanitation, the agriculture, the technical classes, and really serve the community. If you have any question, Claude and the audience, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you again.
Well, thank you so much, Noella, for this heartfelt, very honest, very authentic presentation. Of course, I have loads and loads of questions. I always do every time we speak, but I want to start by framing it in this kind of pandemic, post-pandemic period that we're in. And I saw the slide that you showed regards to the pandemic response, because all of a sudden, schools were closed and a lot of girls were not able to go to school. And I'm just looking at it within the framework of all the forces that are preventing girls from going to school, right? We talked about mindsets, which is what I shared with my own story with my mother when she was growing up in Togo. But then there's also climate change and environmental agencies that are deepening the inequalities, that are really leading to more discrimination against women and girls. And this is really preventing them from accessing quality education. And if we look at the work that Malaika has been doing, I'm very interested in the vocational training aspect that you presented as part of this partnership with Caterpillar, because I always believe in education for employment. I don't believe in education just for kind of shaping thinking for intellectuals. We also need to look at real employments on the job. So tell us about the approach to vocational training for a lot of these girls who could become maybe seamstresses like my mom was, or other jobs that are needed in the Democratic Republic of Congo?
You know, the older generation of Africans, parents wanted the children to be doctor, lawyers. Yes, we need doctors, lawyers, we need this high level, but you need to create the middle class. You need to give skills. It's not everyone that went to school. It's not everyone that has skills. When you look for a plumber or a mechanician or electrician, you don't have a lot of them. And I think this vocational program that we created at Malaika is really important, from the mothers, the young women learning to do sewing classes, from the girls at Malaika that will become a scientist or an IT engineer, from the Caterpillar Foundation partnership that we have to give 1 year of study skills to become mechanician or electrician and then help them to go on the job market. It's very important basis because there is a gap and there is a demand. And in a country where he's such huge provider of mining, what we're doing with Caterpillar Foundation, we would love to see these technical classes, vocational, to be duplicated in a lot of places in Africa. This way, and in this way, we are sure that they can find jobs. And then you created a middle class that will flourish, that will be able to feed their family, be able to send the kids to school, and be able to have skills and feel there's nothing more proud when you earn your own money and going to work.
Absolutely.
But you know, you see these slides, but you know, we launched last month this program, but it was 2 years of work to implement that. We did a lot of study, we have a lot of data, we researched what was really the need and how really to push women to come to enroll for mechanic and electricity. And there's so many challenges on the way. And then COVID hit us, a lot of our programs were delayed.
Absolutely. And so one of the things that I kind of picked up on when you were talking about the specific challenges and opportunities within the Democratic Republic of Congo is when you mentioned cobalt. And I want to talk about cobalt because it's a very big story right now for the global economy, actually, specifically when we talk about the clean energy revolution. And what's happening in cobalt, for those who don't know, is that 2/3 of the world's supply of cobalt is coming from the Democratic Republic of Congo. And cobalt is the key a component that will lead to batteries and solar panels and other forms of renewable energy. So if you think of Tesla cars, which are the cars of the future, many people argue, it cannot function without cobalt. And there's basically this major gold rush. Everybody's coming to the Democratic Republic of Congo to basically start controlling the supply of cobalt because it's so crucial to the future of the world's economy. And so in the work that you do with vocational training, is there any work that you've been able to do with the government or with other corporations that are around cobalt to see how some of your girls and populations that you serve can participate in this potentially booming economy going forward?
Well, we see the big boom of the cobalt, of the green energy, of the cars. We saw, and we're still seeing the big boom of the coltan, because the coltan you need to for your laptops, you need to for your phones, and 70% of the reserve too come from Congo. I do think you need to invest nonstop in education and teach. A lot of schools don't teach the resources that our continent has. We teach our students what Congo is, the potentials, the challenges, what they're sitting on, and what is the vision to change their own country. We want to see, yes, there's a big boom for the cobalt, but we want to see this money that's producing, that being invested in our infrastructure, invested in high-level education, invested in transformation of these minerals. I think that's where we need to push, because right now a lot of people are worried where the clothes are being made. Yes, that's great, because I'm working in the fashion industry. It's great that we worried where the clothes are being made, and etc. But you should ask yourself too, where is your minerals from your green cars or for your laptop come from, and how is being digged, and who's working there? And that's the thing, I think, with the vocational training that we're creating, we create an intellectual mindset, a new change of thinking. And I hope it will be a ripple effect.
Perfect. So as a proud member of the MIT community, one of the things that we're obsessed with is STEM. And I was very encouraged by the training that Malaika has been able to provide in the STEM category, because that obviously is also a certain future for education and for industry and for the world in general. So can you tell us about maybe one student and how she might have had interest in STEM, and perhaps maybe one student could actually come and be a student at MIT one day? Tell us about a journey that you might have seen through an awakening of a student through science technology.
I do think we have a few. I think we have a few because we have amazing teachers remotely teaching our students about STEM and maths. And we have Françoise, Louise, Lauriane, Frida. I think the fact that they've been so young exposed to technology, to work with tablets, with laptop, with robotic, with 3D printer, we see them hungry. Is now and is the future, and that's what's gonna make them different of other girls living from other schools. So I do think these girls will do very well, and I do hope one of them will come to MIT. And right now they're on 5th secondary, the older girls. We have 19 girls, they're on 5th secondary, and they have one more year to finish Malaika school, and we're putting one mentor for each student to see where the mentor will help the student to identify your potential. If you want to be an engineer, if you want to be a scientist, a journalist, and then they will have internship this summer in different companies in the Congo, but we'll start to apply for university either in the Congo, either in Africa, and maybe at some university. But I see, yeah, one of these girls, Louise, is amazing. She's good in sport, she's good in math, she's good in IT, she's good. She has this eager. And yes, so if you can all help me, if you want to mentor one of the students and make sure, that would be an amazing story. A girl walk from a village, going to this school and going to an international school, that would be really, that's the reason we created Malaika, and all our programs are free.
Yeah, that's a big part of what we do at MIT. And I'm going to move to questions now because there's quite a few questions. And Ada Aimua, who is actually a member of the MIT community, who used to work at MIT, she says that you mentioned a lot of work with technical areas. What is your vision for long-term enablement of the graduates with these technical skills?
So we have the girls will be leaving Malaika school. We make sure that we will follow the career path, whichever way they want to do, if they want to go to university or technical classes, or if they want to go to work, or if they want to go abroad. And then we have all the students studying at a community center. We will make sure that we will help them to go into the job market, working for different companies. So that's the plan really for the next 2 years, to really be focused on that, to give them the platform to jump to the next level. And is the reason we're creating a student funds, because we've been investing 11, 12 years in the education of our students. Some of them are 16, 17 now. We don't want the 11, 12 years they receive at Malaika to be wasted. We want to make sure that we be there to keep continuing with them.
So, this second question from Ana Oliveira is much more related to you and your journey as a founder and as the leader of this effort for the Malaika schools. And Ana Oliveira is asking, after passion, which is in her view the very first step to start a sustainable education project like Malaika, what would be the next step after passion? If somebody were going to start a school like Malaika today.
To run a foundation is not only the school, is the ecosystem that we created. To run an ecosystem like that, you need a lot of patience. You have a lot of failures. You have a lot of challenge. You have a lot of tears. You want to give up a lot of times, but you are responsible for so many lives, thousands of lives every day. So yes, you have a lot of passion, but you need to run your foundation like a company, like a business. From the marketing, from the fundraising, from the communication, from the program, from the teachers, from the guards, from the security. People just see as a whole, but there's so many components. We have an organigram, and you have really 80% of the money we're raising go back to the programs. For me, I want Malaika to be a legacy. So right now we're working on a succession plan. If anything happened to me, that Malaika can still keep going. And that's the biggest thing that is my dream and my passion is to have the legacy and the long term for the next 15 years, with me or without me.
Yeah, one of the things that Ada Ayemoya, who's Nigerian American at MIT, is asking is specifically around the team's process. Since you're all about the team, what is your process, your criteria for sourcing teachers and teaching from other parts of the world? And the reason I'm really happy that she asked this question is because, you know, within the MIT Africa project and True Africa University, which is in partnership with MIT in that way, we always look for ways to match up, you know, teachers and professors and students from Africa with what's happening at MIT. And so what is your process for sourcing the very best teachers, even if they're not from the Democratic Republic of Congo?
We have a lot of teachers remotely to our students, and they come from different backgrounds. And because we need the expertise, we need the knowledge. And the curriculum of a lot of schools in Congo and in Africa were so old-fashioned. So it's the reason we push so much to constantly bringing the level up. The criteria, we employing teachers that come from Congo, and then we put a lot of emphasis on them, on the training. And the teachers that coming from abroad, they come for 2-3 weeks in the Congo, really training the teachers and the students, and some of them we do remotely. So of course, we're asking the curriculum, we're asking why they're interested, and we're asking to have a commitment, at least of 6 months or 1 year with us. Because the time you learn about Malaika, the time you set up calls with everything, and the time you put a program, it takes time. So we don't want just someone to come for 1 month. It has to be a commitment to 6 to 9 months. And with a program, a vision, and really that seeing the program they will do will have a real impact.
Yes, Fatim Ouedraogo is asking specifically about your community-driven approach that can be replicated. And Fatim wants you to elaborate more on how are you able to replicate the model, and for other people who might be interested in adopting the Malaika model for their own education project, for instance.
Yes, so it will be only one Malaika, but we're happy to share our model. So we've been working for a few years. It's like nearly 250 pages book about not only the curriculum, but the legal papers that you need. You cannot just go to build a school in a village. You need to talk with the government. You need to talk with the village. You need to have the design of the school. You need to work with the environment. Then you need to fundraise, and then you need the vision next 5-10 years. Because because Malaika School has been built step by step. Every year we were adding classrooms. So you need the plan long term and the fundraising and etc. and the country you're working, understanding. So this is all what we're sharing in the book, and we're going to have in few phases. You can either ask us the book, or you can ask us some videos that we will do, masterclass videos, or you can go on site visits to learn for 3-4 days with a team how Malaika has been completely from a dream, from a piece of paper. I start really from a piece of paper, and how he become this change maker for impacting thousands of lives. But it's not easy to work in Africa. You need really solid nerves. There's a lot of times I wanted to give up, a lot of times where you need so much paperwork. Malaika is set up in America and in Congo, but the rules in America and the rules in Congo are so different. And you need to be very patient in everything that you do. And you have to understand your team too. The mortality rate in Congo is 47 years old. So we've been through these 15 years. We lost so many lives close to us, not only at the school, but in our team, in our staff. And you have to constantly adapt yourself how to manage and work with your team. It's a slow pace to work with Africa. And over the years, we teach them how to work faster. But I go 2 months a year there. And I have a lot of volunteers worldwide coming in the Congo. And we learn from them too. And that's what is amazing. The humility, the respect, the ethic, the way they are eager to change their country and understand and really respectful Malaika. Malaika is completely protected by the community. And when you walk in the village, you're seeing the mother in the village going to sell her goods and you're talking with her, you learn a lot from her wisdom and to never complain. And that I have a lot of respect.
You mentioned teenage pregnancies, and Janice Yemen, she's asking if you have pregnancy rate changes since your school has started. Do you have any statistic that shows that perhaps education plus birth control, that you've seen in the community has led to more girls staying in school, for instance?
Yeah, for sure. Because at the school, we teach them that it's important they finish the study to try to not being pregnant. And we're seeing that they really taking that seriously because they know they have a chance to come to a free school and that they'll be able to contribute to their family. And the other thing is at the community center, we put a lot of program about sexuality, about reproduction, sexual health and family planning. And we have different organizations come to teach at our center. So we're seeing definitely that. And I show them my example. I say, hey, I have only 2 children. So let's try to be, but you have to be very slowly because, there's a lot of culture that you have to respect. There's a lot of barriers and you cannot just arrive and decide to change an entire community. It's the reason you have to work with the team and the team have the a communicator with the community, with the mothers, with the young ladies and etc. And you need to have, at the beginning, it was very hard to find women teachers. And why? Because women will only work somewhere if there is toilet facilities, for instance, and if they are well paid. Because before, women, they were staying home and helping for the kids and cooking and etc. And we're seeing over the last few years, more women sending the CV to come to work with us. And that's really, really, really great.
There's a lot of people here in the chat.
Me, I'm not, I want to tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
For me, I'm more an action maker. I'm not gonna come with crazy data and we have all this data, we have all these statistics. I'm more someone that's go on the ground and make happen things and take a problem and we will find a solution with the team. And I think that's someone was asking me how to build programs or foundation. You have to be extremely street smart.
Absolutely. And on that note, Francis Amara and Augustin Palu, who's my fellow Togolese countrymen, they're asking how they can support because they're asking without external funding, how can the school survive? So there's a lot of people who want to support. So if we were going to ask people to support Malaika, what do you recommend as the very best way to support your efforts in the Democratic Republic of Congo?
You can sponsor IT's program, you can sponsor a student at the school, you can sponsor a student at the community center, you can help us to pay the teachers, you can help us to teach virtually, strengthening a program, be a mentor of one of the students that will finish next year. So there's a lot of ways, and I'm putting the email here, info@malaika.org. You can email us, and I'm on copy on everything about Malaika. So when you write to info@malaika.org, I will see your email, and believe me, when you are dragging, you are dragging.
Absolutely. Well, Leah Lindsay shared a story from the New Yorker magazine about cobalt mining. I've shared it in the group chat for everyone to look at. It's a fantastic story. I had actually read it. And so we always conclude in the last minute with 3 books that you like or love that you could recommend for this audience. I'm putting you on the spot, but
oh my God, you're really putting me on the spot.
Yeah, just any 3 books that you might love or recommend that we can share with this audience now.
I love The Prophets. Khalid
Yes,
Gibran.
I love that book.
You know what? I have 2 kids, so I read a lot of books with my daughter that is 7 years old. Is all reads. Right now we're reading Matilda. I read a lot of books for kids.
Yeah, Matilda's great.
We read last year this amazing series of heroes. So we read with my daughter Harriet Tubman. We read Malala. So we read this kind of story. I wish I have more time to read personally, and that's one of my my main focus this year is to read more. So I have a lot of books on my table that I have to read. I would like to read the book of Michelle Obama. I do a lot of reading, strategy, business, entrepreneurship, skill, mindset. This is kind of the book that I read a lot, but I think I need to escape. But when I escape, I do my gym, I listen to my music, I do my gym, and at night I spend time reading with my kids.
Wonderful. This has been absolutely fantastic, really, really inspiring, Noella Coursaris Musunka. It's been great. I want to remind everybody that next Thursday, we have another edition, another iteration of our weekly MIT Africa, MIT Center for International Studies True Africa University series. And this one is going to be with a very focused former education minister from Nigeria. So she will be very interested in what Noella has spoken about. And we will be talking about which kinds of future leaders Africa needs. And if you're going to ask me right now, I would say that Africa needs more future leaders like Noella Coursaris Musunka. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you,
MIT Africa. Thank you for MIT Center for International Studies. Thanks to the team at True Africa University. See you next Thursday. Bye.
And Claude, I want to add one thing.
Yes?
I think you need
Quickly.
African leaders with values. That's very important.
I would agree.
That's what we teach our kids. Bye,
I would
everyone.
agree. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.